G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marquee Industries, back with some more Reddit stories. So sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie as Marquee would say, and enjoy. Cheers. Okie dokie, we're on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. This one was written by user Grand Grape, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my wife and her friend anymore over what my wife calls a miscommunication? Fake names. My wife, Emily, has a long-time friend, Leslie, who has recently become a single mother. Leslie does not have a working vehicle at the moment and is working 2 jobs, so Emily took it upon herself to help Leslie out as much as she can. Emily had started asking me to help as well in driving Leslie and her kids around, taking them to school and appointments, taking Leslie to the grocery store, etc., whenever Emily or someone else couldn't. I agreed since it made my wife happy, and I understand the kind of situation Leslie is in. Helping has turned into Emily inviting Leslie and her kids over often, or organising trips that they would like, such as camping or fishing. A few times my wife was unable to attend these get-togethers she organised due to work and insisted they still take place, leaving me to entertain Leslie and her kids on my own. Since I've known of Leslie my entire relationship with my wife, I didn't think too much about this. The times that it's been me left with her, or sent in Emily's stead to shuttle Leslie around, I've made normal small talk with her and her kids. Recently, Leslie's kids were going to be away for a weekend, so Emily wanted to have Leslie over for dinner and some movies. She asked me to text Leslie to ask her over, and when I did, Leslie replied with, "Just as friends, right? I'm not interested in being anyone's girlfriend." I thought that response was out of left field, so I asked her why she'd even say that, and her response was pretty much, "No guy would be asking me and my kids how we're doing or helping me out unless he wanted something in return." I told Leslie it wasn't anything like that, and then showed my wife the conversation and informed her I would be stepping back from helping her with anything involving Leslie and to leave me out of any future plans. I also offered to show her the rest of my phone and anything else. Emily believed me, but she still talked to Leslie about it to see what had given her that impression, and accordingly, she gave Emily the same answer. A few days later, Leslie apologized to Emily and told her that her emotions and mind were just all over because of a down day. That's fine, but I'm still not willing to help her or my wife out anymore, as I had been, because I don't want any repeats or accusations hurled at me when I was helping as my wife asked. Emily thinks I'm overreacting and should just brush it off because it was just a silly miscommunication she had on a bad day. Am I the a-hole? Additional info. The text I sent Leslie about the night was, "Emily wants to know if you'd like to come over for dinner and some movies on Saturday." That's why her response was so out of left field. I sent the text because Emily was busy on her phone and wanted to know ASAP so we could make our weekend plans. Edit. Thanks for all the comments and different perspectives. I'll talk to Emily tonight when we get home about the overhelping and what to do going forward. We are not swingers. Leslie knows my wife is completely monogamous, and while I will be bringing up concerns she's helping too much, this level of help between the two of them has been present for as long as I've known my wife. Yeah, it's definitely a strange comment, particularly if Opie is giving the full picture here. I mean, there is always a chance that Leslie has completely misread the whole situation. Let's see some of those comments. Not the a-hole, but why is your wife so suddenly attached to this woman? If I were Leslie, I'd be wondering more if your wife wants a girlfriend than you. Opie says, they've always been attached at the hip. When my wife had surgery for carpal tunnel, Leslie kept showing up, even when I was home to take care of Emily in the house. Add in that my own sister is similar with some of her close friends. I never found their friendship strange. Info. How long have you and your wife been acting as Leslie's chauffeurs and doing everything for her? What is Leslie's plan to get her own life back together? Opie replies, it's been about 4 months. Leslie is trying to save up to get a new used car or her current one fixed, as well as looking for a cheaper place to live. Info. Does she have trauma in her background? This sounds more like someone who has learned people give nothing for free and has been betrayed or hurt in the past. To which Opie says, no idea. Not the a-hole, but only because Leslie didn't apologise, and I don't think you're in the wrong for not helping her anymore. This is kind of a weird situation. Like if my friend asks me to go fishing with me and my kids, then sends her boyfriend slash fiance slash husband in her place, that's pretty weird. If it was just an errand, that's one thing. But a whole ass fun trip is super weird. I would just cancel the plans at that point. Also, was this fishing and camping trip just you, Leslie and her kids, or were there others involved? So I can actually kind of get Leslie's side, because this time, you directly texted her from your phone, right? When your wife sets up these errands and play dates, I'm guessing she initially says it'll be her, then crap might come up and so maybe half the time, she then tells Leslie that you're coming. So a direct text to Leslie from you asking to come over for movies kinda does feel pretty off. Also, you say this paraphrase here, quote, "No guy would be asking me and my kids how we're doing or helping me out unless he wanted something in return." But I'm curious what exactly the text messages say. OP replies, "My wife made the camping trip. One of the fishing trips when my wife couldn't make it and we knew ahead of time, we discussed cancelling. She discussed it with Leslie and they both decided to go ahead with it. The other time, my wife organised us all to go do something together. She was with us for about an hour before she had to leave. I did directly text her from my phone, which I've had to do before. My text read, quote, "Emily wants to know if you'd like to come over for dinner and watch some movies on Saturday." I don't know about 100% of the time, but I have heard my wife tell Leslie she'd be sending me in her stead on a number of occasions, so it's not as if Leslie didn't have a heads up. Not the a-hole. Did she apologise to you in addition to Emily? That's what kind of sets it off. She can have an off day and feel like maybe everyone has an ulterior motive and get snappy, but like she needs to apologise to the person she hurt, i.e. you. If you're worried she's going to make a move on you and she's done more than this comment, that's different too. Opie says, no, she did not apologise to me, only to Emily. Another comment says, not the a-hole. I think there is more of a miscommunication between your wife and her friend. When your wife cannot drive or entertain her friend, does she let her friend know you are taking her place or that she volunteered you herself? Or do you just show up? The friend might be confused in this situation. While I understand the single mother's frustration, she needs to figure this out for herself. She cannot, nor should she, depend on everyone else forever. Also, where are the kids' father in helping in their appointments? Opie replies, I don't know about each and every time, but I have been witness to my wife giving Leslie a heads up I would be showing up instead. Such as one outing Emily planned, I suggested cancelling when Emily's schedule changed, but after Emily and Leslie discussed it, they decided to go on ahead without Emily because Leslie's kids were looking forward to it. Not the a-hole, but forgive her and move on. People get silly notions, and she's recently been abandoned, right? You've been very nice, and she didn't understand that your wife was directing it. I'm sure she's embarrassed enough, so it would be nice to accept her apology and not withhold your help. Opie says she knew my wife was directing it and she did not apologise to me. And another comment says, not the a-hole. I'm a Mormon, and in certain parts of my religious society, this behaviour would be seen as a clear attempt by Emily to groom Leslie to become a sister wife. Actual attempts to do so have been done with more tact and subtlety, and yes, they do happen, despite the fact that polygamy is literally illegal and banned by the church. She's going way too far, way too fast, and I'm not surprised Leslie is panicking a little when Emily is coming on like a wrecking ball and dragging Hubbo along with her. Leslie's the one who said the words, but she said them in reaction to Emily's energy and actions. Emily's the one who's been shoving Leslie and Opie together, alone, at night, and then being conspicuous by her absence. That would get any honest person's hackles up, and I simply fail to believe Emily when she pretends not to be aware of this. Bottom line, I can't help but feel that Emily is up to no good here, and somewhere in the back of her mind may be an idea to, quote, share her husband with her childhood friend, just like another possession. Question, is there any possibility that Emily may have learned she can't have children? That would certainly put a magnifying glass on a possible motive for Emily's behaviour. Opie replies, Emily can have children, and she's only not been present twice in all the months she's been helping her. I don't know how people are taking a few times to mean constantly or often. Yeah, it's an interesting take, but it might be a bit of a reach. Let's go to an update. Thank you all for your input. There's been some good and not so good outcomes to this issue. My wife and I had a long conversation after I made my original post. I brought up points from both my perspective and possible points from Leslie's perspective that commentators made to explain the situation and why it had me uneasy enough to step back. I showed her the post and she eventually relented. Emily decided she would speak with Leslie again to see if her having to leave during a couple of outings, or missing one, had made Leslie uncomfortable, despite Leslie agreeing ahead of time she was fine with Emily leaving and not showing up. We also discussed the matter of over-helping. In that regard, Emily wanted to keep helping her as she had been because that level of help is normal for them, but she would stop asking me to help when she couldn't. Instead, she said she would talk to Leslie about getting the kid's father to help out more now that her ex-fiancé was gone. She wound up agreeing I should have received the apology, but since I'm just hands-off now, I didn't see the point in pursuing it. I'm happy to say I have not been volunteered to help or drive since our talk. She continued to help Leslie as she was able for a couple of weeks until things took a negative turn. There were a couple of times neither my wife or Leslie's other friends were able to give her a ride or help her, and she asked Emily where I was, that I couldn't do it. Emily said she told her it was best I didn't to avoid any future misunderstandings. After the fourth time Leslie asked my wife to have me drive her and pick stuff up for her when no one else could, Emily tells me that Leslie started in about how if what she said wasn't true, then I wouldn't be avoiding her, but I'm acting as if I got rejected. According to Emily, Leslie started to draw parallels about how I went out of my way to do things for Emily right before we got together and started helping Leslie, so that was all the proof Emily should need about me having ulterior motives, and after that, she says Leslie devolved into telling Emily she'll wind up being left too. We have minimized contact with Leslie, and Emily told her she needs to do so until or unless Leslie seeks counseling for her breakup and stops having a negative outlook on the relationships around her, and then they can rebuild their friendship. That has been hard on Emily, so whenever I'm not working, I'm doing what I can to help her get through this. Thank you again, Reddit, for the fresh set of eyes. Geez, Leslie really dropped the ball on that one. Like, was it because she was just so overwhelmed with what was happening in her life, or what? One comment mentions that she might have main character syndrome, failing to realize that OP wasn't doing the things for her, but he was doing it for his wife, Emily. Seems strange to mix those up. Also, good on OP for identifying that it was a problem from that text and, dealing with it straight away. Anyway guys, that's the end of that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Either way, let's move on to another story. Alrighty, jumping over to relationship advice. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years because she wanted to remain a virgin. Now she wants to get back together, but told me she had sex with someone else when we were broken up. How should I proceed? Old-ish story, but new updates with this one, so let's get into it. I, 23 male, met my ex, 21 female, 3 years ago. We lived on campus at uni in different halls of residence. After a few months, we got together and for the most part had a very happy relationship. There was always one issue though. My ex grew up in a very religious home. Her father is a pastor. She's been open with her family that she does not share their faith. They weren't happy about it, but accepted that she has to make her own choices on that. Nevertheless, I think some of that religious upbringing was still in her mind. I grew up in a different religion but was never very serious about it and am no longer religious. Our relationship was pretty normal, except that she told me very early that she was a virgin and wanted to stay that way until she was married. It wasn't for religious reasons. As I mentioned, she isn't religious, but she was very focused on not disappointing her dad. We did other sexual things, just not intercourse. I never had much luck with girls growing up, and going into the relationship I was a virgin. And I still am, at least if you classify being a virgin as never having had intercourse. Anyway, I was becoming more resentful of the fact that everyone I know was having more sexual relationships, and we weren't. I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have a full sexual relationship, though of course I never pressured her about it. I felt that while I was at uni and pretty broke, getting married was something for the future. Last year, I was in my last year of uni, and she was working on her first professional job. Her degree was shorter than mine, so she finished uni first despite being younger than me. She was talking a lot about all these successful guys she met at work, which did make me feel lesser as I was still a broke uni student. Coupled with her still not wanting a full sexual relationship, it did make me feel more resentful. We had some arguments about it, and after a while I felt that I should end the relationship as we wanted different things and our lives were on different paths. It was awful. She was crying a lot and I felt terrible afterwards. Anyway, it's been nearly 6 months since we broke up. We haven't been in touch at all for most of that time. I've not been involved with anyone else in that time, as I was 100% focused on finishing my degree. I've finally finished uni and I'm about to start my first professional job. She recently got in touch again and asked to meet up. I was hesitant, but decided we had so much good history that I should hear her out. She told me she's been missing me terribly these past 6 months, that she thinks she wants to get back together and is open to having a sexual relationship now. I asked her why now, what changed, and she looked uncomfortable. After a little prying, she said she had a short-term fling with one of the older guys at work while we were broken up, which of course was fine as she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she said he persisted with her until she started having sex with him. She ended it with him recently. She was clear that it was consensual, but that the guy was very persistent with pursuing sex with her. I was gutted. I couldn't understand why she'd make me wait all those years, but was fine doing it with some new guy she'd only been seeing a short time. I asked if the reason she was open to having a sexual relationship now is because she wasn't a virgin anymore. She said yes. I asked her to give me some space to process all of this. I'm conflicted and would love some advice on this. I've missed her a lot and still have strong feelings for her, but at the same time it feels like I was strung along for years. It's hard to put my finger on why I don't want to take her back. Everything logically makes sense for us to get back together. I'd even get to finally have a sexual relationship with her, but I feel awful about this whole thing and don't want to ignore those feelings. Yeah, I can't help but feel like she probably did string him along a little bit, and the fact that it's affecting OP this much now means it probably will affect him in the future. Let's go to the comments. Move on. Don't get back together. This will eat at you forever. Your feelings are valid. If it bothers you, don't get back with her. Opie replies, thank you. You're right, of course. I feel like I've spent a long time putting the feelings of others first. Not just my ex, but also my family. It's good to get a reminder that my feelings count too. Yeah, move on, bro. Look, mate, you're too young for this kind of thing. You should build your sexual confidence. There's no way in hell you can do that with this girl. Neither of you are wrong, but I just think there's too much baggage now. I'd move on. In your mind, you weren't enough for her, and the other guy got what you wanted in a fraction of the time. Yeah, pretty straightforward from the comments there. Opie makes an edit. Some of the comments are being very harsh on my ex, and I guess that's not surprising. You don't know her. She's not some evil, manipulative villain at all. I would never have been with anyone like that. She's still the funny, smart, charming, beautiful girl I always knew. Any guy would be lucky to have her. I would be too, if I could handle the baggage here, but I'm thinking I probably can't, and a clean break is the way to go. Though she may regret the relationship with the other man, it's not my business, as she was a single woman and we were broken up. I wasn't ever expecting to hear from her again, really. This whole situation is very surprising to me. I'm feeling hurt because I guess this is a solid blow to my ego, that I feel like the lesser man here. I can own that, and that's something for me to work on. Ultimately, I have some hang-ups about sex from this relationship that I need to deal with. A few people have suggested I could benefit from therapy. I'm going to look into that. I think I need help to process all these emotions from this situation. One comment asks, I would ask her why she was willing to sleep with this guy after such a short relationship, but after 3 years she was not willing to sleep with you. Opie replies, I think this is the right question, because I don't know why. She didn't say. All she said was that the guy was persistent. I'm torn about whether to simply text her that I don't want to rekindle things and leave it all in the past, or whether I should ask more questions about what happened, because this hurts. I don't know if I'm ready to get details of her relationship with the other guy. Sometimes I just feel like I'm stunted in some way. A few comments have said I'm immature, and they're probably right. I know I'm the one who ended the relationship and that she's entitled to do what she wants with anyone else. Still doesn't make it hurt any less. And maybe it's just best to say goodbye and leave all of this in the past. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the best mentality to have here. Okay, on to an update. This is an update to my last post. Hello again. I appreciate people taking the time to comment on my last post. The response was a lot more than I expected, with over 2,000 comments. I'm amazed so many people wanted to comment about my situation. Thank you. Warning, this post is long. I've kept a daily journal since I was 16. A lot of what follows is dumps from my journal. Yes, I know I'm not concise. I'm going to refer to my ex as Ellie, not her real name. I'd like to write a bit about the comments because so many people took the time to provide their thoughts, and I appreciate that. The majority of comments were some variation of move on, a clean break, a strong recommendation with a lot to recommend it. A minority said give her a chance and see how it goes, plenty calling me an a-hole for ending it because I wanted sex in our relationship, or for being obsessed with her virginity, that I dumped her because she wouldn't put out, and quite a few saying my breaking up with her made her feel like sex is necessary to keep a guy, and that it drove her heartbroken into the next guy's bed. There were a few she's pregnant comments, not that I know of, it's not impossible, but if that happens, it won't be anything to do with me. The dude saying I should beg her and leave her, or worse, seriously, some of you guys need a hug or a psychologist. No, I would never use her like that, no matter our past. Ellie and I were a loving couple for years. That counts for something, even after we broke up. Feeling hurt doesn't justify using her, or anyone else for that matter. As for comments that I have some hang-up about taking her virginity, my issue when together was that we weren't having sex in our relationship, not whether she was a virgin or not. Her being a virgin was her reason for being abstinent, but wasn't directly an issue either way for me. If she hadn't been a virgin and wanted to be abstinent, I would have been in the same situation. The title of my last post was not great really. I broke up because we were not having sex, not because she was a virgin. Bear in mind, for 3 years, Ellie had everything she wanted from our relationship. Boyfriend, love, affection, loyalty, support, and a guy who respected her wishes to be abstinent. While she got 100% of what she wanted, for me there was a big element missing, and there was no way to reconcile that. Either we were having sex or not having it. Sex requires both to say yes, and that wasn't going to happen. With hindsight, I should have ended the relationship early on, when Ellie first told me she wanted to not have sex until marriage. When we got together, I was a naive 19-year-old who had never had a girlfriend before, so I kinda went along with things because I really liked her and got along with her so well. I fell in love with her and then kinda felt stuck in a relationship that wasn't what I wanted. I've learned from this and won't make that mistake in the future. I want to make active, not passive choices in future relationships, to not just go along with things because that's what the other person wants. Our views about sex in our relationship were not compatible, so I ended the relationship rather than waiting any longer, hoping she'd change her mind. It was scary to take that step, and I put it off for way too long, because I didn't want to hurt her. But I couldn't stay in the relationship just for her. I had to also consider myself too. My mistake was waiting so long to get to that point. I regret that, as it caused her more hurt than if I'd ended it early on. Many of you say that sex just isn't that important, but for me it is, at least as part of a relationship. You can disagree, that's fine. Some people are fine being in no-sex relationships, no judgment from me, but that's not what I want. Some people took issue with me saying I felt she strung me along. On reflection, that's fair. Ellie was clear to me about wanting to not have sex until marriage. I foolishly stayed way too long, hoping she'd change her mind one day. She didn't. That was my mistake. I strung myself along really. She never led me on in any way. It hurt to learn that she had had sex with the next guy relatively quickly after I waited so long, but she is my ex, so that's not my business anymore. She is allowed to change her mind. She can have sex or not with whoever she chooses. I don't get a say in that. My hurt is an emotional response, not a logical one. Logically, I see she did nothing wrong by me. I'll get over it. It's just my bruised ego if I'm honest with myself, feeling I'm somehow a lesser man because she took that step with the next guy. I know objectively that isn't true, but I sure feel it. I was not a perfect boyfriend and I have made mistakes. I have learned from them. I don't regret breaking up with Ellie and still think it was the right decision for me. Enough background. A few things have happened. Last weekend was the Australia Day long weekend. I was on a camping trip in the Grampians for any Aussies reading. It was so nice to be in nature, to do some bushwalks with friends and decompress. It felt good to talk about the Ellie situation with my mates around the campfire. Most of them knew Ellie pretty well from our years together, and they had a range of views, just like the commenters on my post. And I got the usual good-natured crap about still being a virgin. I learned there's an expensive bottle of scotch they bought a while ago that's going to have its seal cracked when mine is. Idiots, lol. One great question a friend asked was whether I would have ever decided to reach out and take Ellie back if she never reached out to me first. The answer is no. It was so obvious to me. That cut through a lot of the confusion for me. I was being too passive in this situation and needed to do what I wanted, not just react to what Ellie wanted. By the time I was on my way home, I decided to not get back together with her. But that was mute. When I was driving home and got a mobile signal again, there was no mobile network where we'd camped, the network delivered a bunch of messages from Ellie all at once. She said she was wrong to ask me to get back together and that she's back with Tim, fake name, now. She also texted that the thing with Tim is more serious than she told me when she last met with me. She apologised for misleading me about her and Tim's relationship. If you remember, she called it a fling before. She asked if we could meet to talk about it. I was not happy, so I just texted back, no. Not very mature of me, but I wasn't in the mood to hear more about all of this. And I was surprised and ticked off that she lied to me. That seemed very out of character for her. She tried calling me, but I didn't want to answer. She sent another text saying, Tim and I had a fight. I shouldn't have come to you. And finally, I'm sorry. When I got home, I was an idiot and let my curiosity get the better of me. I looked up Tim online. His real given name is uncommon, so it wasn't that hard to find. I found him on LinkedIn, which gave me his full name. Ellie is one of his connections and he works at the same firm, so I was confident it's him. He's a director at their firm, one level below partner. He also has pics on Insta. Lots of posts about his adventures around the world at various events and exotic places, as well as shots with an expensive-looking car. A few photos of him with Ellie with their arms around each other in Singapore in November. I guess that confirms it was serious. He wouldn't have public pics with her for a casual fling. All of that just made me feel bad. No good comes from comparing myself to my ex's successful boyfriend. Ellie is not my girlfriend and I'm not in competition with Tim, so I won't do that again. My ego's bruised enough already. I've been living a very frugal life my whole time at uni, aka poor as F, so I know I can feel inferior when I see people with wealth. That's another me problem to sort out. Anyway, all that was on Sunday afternoon/evening. On Tuesday evening, Ellie knocked at my door. She said that she knows I didn't want to talk to her, but she felt bad about everything and hoped I would let her explain herself, clear the air, then I'd never see her again if that's what I wanted. I let her in. I was not happy with recent events, but figured I might at least get a clearer idea of what's going on. It was a long, heavy conversation, over 4 hours, but here's the gist as I remember it. When we broke up, she was devastated. She said it took a couple of months before she started to feel a bit better. She missed me constantly and wanted to see me the whole time, but when I ended it, we agreed to keep apart and heal. In September, she met Tim at work. He manages a different team. She doesn't work for him. She said he was very charming and attractive and showed almost immediate interest in her. They got to know each other and he asked her out. She was worried it was a rebound, but felt so much better getting his attention that she went along with it. After dating for a while, she developed feelings for him, and that later led to a sexual relationship. It wasn't a fling, and she dated him for a while beforehand. I asked about whether he'd pressured her into sex. Last time she said he was very persistent. She said she was trying to not upset me. She thought if she gave me the impression she was reluctant to have sex with Tim, that I wouldn't think as badly of her. So it was a story to try and spare my feelings. I told her it just made me worried she'd been assaulted. She looked shocked at that and said no way, she was actually the one who initiated their sexual relationship. I said, although I don't like that she lied to me, I can understand why. I don't think she did anything wrong changing her mind about abstinence. Yes, I was hurt when she told me she was having sex, but I have no right to judge her for anything. She's a single adult, and it's her life. I don't think badly of her. She burst into tears and said something like, I thought you must hate me now. I assured her that I didn't. She said she was sad it didn't work for us, but that she never would have dropped her virginity commitment if we had not broken up. After we broke up, she decided that it was a commitment she made to her dad when she was still a kid, and it was messing with the life she wants now. So by the time she and Tim got into their relationship, she had already decided she was ready for sex with the right person. I asked about her dad and she just said, he doesn't need to know. I asked about why she asked to get back together. Tim is older. She told me he's 32 and has been at the firm 10 years. One day at work, one of the women made a snarky comment to Ellie about being another one of Tim's girls. She did some digging and it turns out Tim has a history. He has dated a long list of women from work. Several of them were young graduate employees, just like Ellie. The rumour around the office is that Ellie is just the next girl to get used by him. She was horrified. She accused Tim of using her. They argued and she told him it was over. Soon after that, she came to me. She felt as if we might be able to rekindle things now that she was open to a sexual relationship. But my hesitation and time to calm down made her realise that was a mistake. Over the weekend, Tim asked her to work things out. She decided to give it a chance. She tried to call me, but they went to voicemail. I was camping, so she sent those messages instead. So I guess that's settled. I don't want her back, and she's in a relationship, so she doesn't want me back either. We chatted a bit about how our families are going. She congratulated me on finally finishing uni. She asked if I'd been seeing anyone, and when I told her I'd been studying hard and working a lot since exams, a retail job, with no time for girls, she laughed and said I'm still a big nerd. She hoped we could be friendly if we ever see each other, but she wants to keep out of contact out of respect for her relationship with Tim. She wants to give it a real chance of working, which is fair enough. She gave me a hug, said thank you for understanding, and left. So there you have it. Ellie involved me in her relationship drama. I would have preferred she hadn't, but at least it's sorted now. I'm glad I paid attention to my feelings and took time out to reconsider things, as it could have been very messy if I'd taken her back. Trusting my gut has been the biggest lesson for me in all of this. I still care for her, despite recent events. It seems like she's dealing with a lot of complicated things between her new relationship and work gossip. I wish her well and hope she'll be happy, whether it's with Tim or not. She was my first love, and I expect I'll always have warm memories of her, but I'm clear now that I don't want her back. She is my past, and I want to look forward. Well, this has become an essay. Tutors at uni always told me I was too waffly in my writing. Well, F those guys, I'm not a student anymore. I can now focus on launching my new career with no distractions. I've worked so hard for so long to get here. My new job starts on Monday. It's going to be so great building actual real experience with my new profession, not just endless theory. I'll be earning much better money, no more student poverty, and I've got graduation in May to look forward to as well. I'm open to finding someone new, but that's way down my priority list. I'm not going to actively pursue that anytime soon. Cheers everyone for your comments and advice. Edit the next day. Okay, you've convinced me. Today I blocked Ellie on everything. Since we agreed not to be in touch again, that shouldn't matter. But if she doesn't stick to that agreement, example if she and Tim split and fight again, then it won't be easy for her to contact me again. I thought it was a petty thing to block someone, but in this case you've convinced me that it's a way to take control of the situation. With luck, I won't hear from her again, and if I do, like if she knocks on the door, I'll remind her of our agreement and shut her off. Time to stop being passive and take charge of my life. A life Ellie will not be a part of. Yeah, undoubtedly some great lessons learned for OP here. One comment says, "Glad you came to the conclusion best for you. However, I feel you gave Ellie too much of what she wanted to feel better about herself at the expense of your own emotional well-being." OP replies, "I was already pretty churned up about things from when she first asked to get back together. I wish she hadn't done that. But after she came to see me on Tuesday, it was easier for me. We got to mutually say no to a future together and also put a lot of baggage in the bin. Is Ellie going to be happy? I don't know. I hope so, but I have my doubts about this Tim dude. But you probably can't trust my judgment on that. More relevant to me is whether I'm going to be happy. The answer is F yes, because I'm going to make that happen. Yeah, I love Opie's mentality and his self-awareness. Opie makes another comment on Ellie. I came to terms with our relationship months ago. When she came back to me, it stirred up some old feelings because we'd been a couple so long, but thinking about it now, that was more of an echo of those memories than real feelings. All of this drama was Ellie's doing. I would have preferred she never involved me so I could have been blissfully ignorant of her romantic life. I'd prefer to not know about her worldly rich boyfriend or their sex life. She's definitely changed. The Ellie I remember was scrupulous and honest to a fault. The Ellie I've dealt with recently wasn't like that so much. I think that's why her lying to me ticked me off so much. It wasn't just the lying, it was how out of character it seemed. But people change. She's in the business world now, and people there live by different standards to the religious family she grew up in. Anyway, I've cut myself out of her life, so anything that happens with her is hers to deal with. If she comes back to me, I'll remind her we agreed to stay apart and leave it there. I'm not looking for another relationship right now, so no Tinder for me. And no, I'm not looking for casual sex either. I'm a virgin, but I want a meaningful connection, not just sex. As I said in the post, I'm open to something if the right woman came along, but I'm not actively seeking it. That might change after a while, but right now, I want to keep focused on my new career. Opie comments on having closure. A lot of the comments here act like that final meeting was all for her benefit. Sure, she got some kind of relief or closure out of it, but it was also good for me. Seeing who she is becoming just made it 100% no doubt in my mind that we would never ever make sense. She's changed a lot in the last year, starting when we were still together and she had started her job. Random phrases like work hard, play hard, being generally less kind and more dismissive of others. Clearly she was being influenced by those around her, but it was her choice to take on those behaviours. I loved the old Ellie, but I'm not sure I even like the current one much. Anyway, I didn't feel like she intruded. I felt like I got a nice neat ending to the whole thing and can get on with my life with a clear conscience. But we're clear now that it's over forever, and I have her promise that she'll stay out of contact. If she ever does try to come back, I can remind her of her own promise and close the door. Okay folks, on to a new update, 5 months later. It's titled, Bumped into Ellie Again. Hi, I'm the guy from this post and update. My old throwaway got blocked, so I had to make this new one. I learned a lot through that experience and believe that I'm a little less naive than I was. Many of you said I would see Ellie, now 22, again. You were right. There was some confusion in comments previously about dates of graduation and work. I'm an Australian living in Melbourne. University here runs from late February/early March to November each year. Our summer holidays are in December to February. Graduate intakes into companies are usually in February each year. If you recall my previous posts, my ex Ellie and I mutually agreed to be no contact after some drama on her part. At the urging of Redditors, I also blocked her to help maintain no contact. I've been working since February as a graduate engineer, and it's been everything I hoped it would be. I'm meeting amazing smart people, learning so much every day, and I'm finally earning a salary after years of being a broke student. Having a little money in the bank and being able to afford to do things like eating out is such a nice change. When I finished uni in November, I moved in with my brother temporarily. He'd just broken up with his ex and needed help with his rent. That's where I was living when Ellie last came to see me. He found a new housemate, and since his place was on the wrong side of the CBD for my job, I moved into a share house in the southeast of Melbourne. The place is a bit run down, but the rent is reasonable, by insane Melbourne standards, and there are a lot of pubs, bars and restaurants nearby. The location and my housemates have been great. I'm seeing someone. I'll call her Olivia, not her real name. She's the sister of one of my housemates. We met when my housemates and I had a barbecue, and she dropped by. We got talking, and were still talking hours later until everyone else had left. Her brother told us to shut the F up so he could get some sleep, ha. I asked her out that week, and we've been close since. My housemate/her brother has been making fun of us ever since, including more than a few crude jokes when she stays over. We agreed to be exclusive 6 weeks ago, so it's still quite new. She's so cool and smart and gorgeous. The chemistry was instant and intense from the moment we met. We just click so well. It's such a great time when we're together. Olivia is an accountant at a big firm. One of Olivia's workmates was having a party last month. She asked me to come to meet some of her work friends. We went inside and Olivia introduced me to the woman who hosted the party, her workmate Jess. There would have been maybe 40 to 50 people there. I didn't know anyone but Olivia. At one point, I offered to grab more drinks. The kitchen was in a separate room. As I was getting them, a guy asked me to pass him a beer from the fridge. I introduced myself and he said, "Hi, I'm Tim." Fake name from my last post. He actually said his unusual name. We chatted a couple of minutes about our jobs and how we knew Jess, then I just said, "Nice to meet you," and returned to the group. I didn't recognize his face as I'd never met him before, but it was definitely Ellie's Tim. His job and firm line up, and he looked in his 30s, a bit older than most people at the party. Neither of us mentioned Ellie when we were talking. Later on, I asked Jess how she knew Tim. She said she used to work at the same firm as Tim, also where Ellie works, but she moved to another employer, where Olivia works. Despite living in a city of 5 million, it's still a small world. On the tram ride home, I must have been quiet because Olivia asked what was on my mind. I said that Tim guy at the party was, or maybe still is, my ex's boyfriend. I said I didn't think he knew who I was, or if he did, he didn't say anything. That prompted me to share some history about me and Ellie. Olivia was wide-eyed and said, "You never told me you were a virgin." Then she laughed and said, "Well, we took care of that." She asked if I had any feelings for Ellie, and I truthfully said no. I dealt with all of that months ago. More recently, there was a formal charity dinner that Olivia was asked to support. Her employer was a sponsor of the event. She was keen to show me off. We were at a table with a bunch of her work colleagues, nice people. One of her work friends was so excited to meet me, and, quote, "Olivia can't stop talking about you." That made me feel really good. After dinner, a few of us were chatting, and I got a tap on the shoulder. I turned around, and to my surprise, it was Ellie. Tim was with her. It was so weird to see her again. Tim said he remembered meeting me at that party, but never made the connection to Ellie until just now. She must have told him about me. Ellie looked very different. She had lost a lot of weight and was very slim. The tight red dress she was wearing made that obvious. Her dad would not approve. Not that she was ever overweight, but I'd never seen her that thin before. She was immaculately made up with what looked to my ignorant eye like expensive jewellery. She'd changed her hair too, now blonde instead of her natural auburn. She looked like a sleek rich girl, not the poor pastor's daughter I remember. Don't get me wrong, she looked amazing, but she looked like a different person. I know it was a formal event, so we were all dressed nicely, but this was a major transformation. Despite her glam looks, when I saw her, I didn't feel anything for her. Just nothing. Ellie said she was so glad to see me and she had some news, holding out her hand to show a diamond engagement ring. I know nothing about diamonds, but it looked pretty big and expensive to me. I offered my congratulations to them both. Just then Olivia walked back over. I introduced her to Ellie and Tim. Olivia put her arm around me, and Ellie's smile seemed to kind of freeze. I didn't really know what to say, so I just said, "Nice to see you again," and wished them all the best for the wedding. Tim walked off and Ellie just sort of stood there for a moment. It was awkward. Later on, as we were leaving, Ellie was staring at us as we walked out. Olivia said later that, "I think she still has a thing for you." I said it doesn't matter. Anyway, cut to a few days ago. My brother messaged me saying Ellie stopped by looking for me. Yes, Reddit, you were right. He knew to not share my new address with her, so all he said is I'd moved out. Next day, I received an email from an address I hadn't seen before. It was Ellie. No acknowledgement that she was breaking our agreement to be no contact. No mention she stopped by my old place. It said, "It was so great to see you again. I've missed you, and that girl you were with is pretty. How serious is it?" And telling me she and Tim have big plans for their wedding next year, and she hopes I can come. I was annoyed because she's trying to make her life my business, again, despite promising no contact, even going to the trouble to make a new email address to get around me blocking her. I showed Olivia the email and she rolled her eyes and asked me to think about why my ex would send me that. Why indeed? Olivia is great at cutting through bullcrap and reads people way better than I do. Ellie can't have me back. I'm in a relationship now, plus she's engaged, and it's not like I would go to their wedding. Who goes to their ex's wedding? It wouldn't be right. I don't know why she's trying to contact me, but I can guess that she wants to use me for emotional support again. Or maybe things are rocky with Tim, who knows. Whatever she wants, it's not happening. She has family and friends, she can talk to them. I deleted the email and blocked the address without replying. Ellie promised she'd keep out of contact and just couldn't help herself. I still intend to keep my word regarding no contact even if she doesn't. I've also set up a filter to send any email containing her name to the bin. Olivia and I had a talk after that. I asked if she was concerned about the Ellie thing, but she said no. She's not worried. She didn't get serial killer vibes from Ellie. I'm glad none of this has put her off me. So, nothing too dramatic, but it does prove you guys were right. Ellie couldn't not contact me despite promising to do so. I was able to sidestep her much more easily than last time. Ultimately, this is a good news story. Life is so great right now. I've got a cool new girlfriend, a fun place to live, and a new career I love. It has been easy to leave Ellie behind. Yeah, Ellie just doesn't get the picture in this one, but I'm glad Opie was able to move on. It seems like he's doing well and he knows what's best for him. Let's read some final comments to wrap this one up. Ellie just wants Opie to prop her up like, I'm so awesome that there's some dude always pining for me. And then the minute she realised that people can and do in fact move on, her world just collapsed. I wanted to hear about the epic party where his friends finally opened that expensive bottle of scotch. Let's see. X grew up in a religious and sheltered home. Check. X tried to keep herself a virgin because of a promise to her father. Check. X then sleeps with the first guy, 10 years older than her, to give her attention after Opie breaks up with her. Check. A tale as old as time. Also, she was totally keeping Opie as a backup. She made sure to contact him every so often to keep him interested, dangle hope in front of him. Because she was his first girlfriend, she assumed he wouldn't find another until she was done with Tim. Who invites an ex to a wedding whom they never talk to? Yeah, some good questions there. Anyway, I'm going to pass this one over to you guys. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.